Good morning, guys. We're going to get rolling. This is Ignite Session 8. We're going to talk about capturing leads with social media. If you got questions, come off mute and ask your questions. If you're chopping wood or eating breakfast or yelling at your children, stay on mute. We'd love that. We would enjoy that. So again, if you got questions, feel free to jump off mute and ask away. If you got to jump out, I appreciate that as well. All of the Ignite sessions will be uploaded to kwclmhub.com under the training videos. So let's get into it. Session 8 of Ignite. Again, these are traveling throughout the second quarter. We're going to go up until just about Memorial Day weekend with Ignite. Ignite happens every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the most part from 9 to 11. And again, if it doesn't take to get to 11 o'clock, we'll get you on your way. So 9 to 11, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we'd love for you to continue to join us Tuesdays and Thursdays for Fight Club. That is at kwfightclub.com. So we'll be back at that tomorrow, which is Thursday. So Ignite as well, to remind people of all ages and heights. Ignite in Gary's mind, Gary Keller proposes that Ignite is for any agent who has closed 16 or fewer pieces of business in the last 12 months, which begs the question, why are more people not here? And I would answer that politely as your coach and say, well, people feel like, well, I did Ignite back in 1938. I'm good. Well, the class is always changing. And then ultimately moving forward, we would love people to move from being in the classroom on the student side of the table to being a capping agent. And at some point, Zoe and I will tap you on the shoulder and say, dear cool kid, would you like to teach Ignite? So you should always be in the Ignite room, whether you're a student, even a wily veteran. You come in, the content's always going to get augmented for the market that we're in. And above and beyond that, the conversation's always going to change. So we're going to get underway. If you got questions, come off mute. Let me know what you got so we can answer those in real time. And if you're watching this later on our training hub, kwclmhub.com, and the training videos, and you got a question based on what you heard today, you can always reach out at 603-834-2856. And you can book my face at meetwithcoach.com. And if we haven't met, my name's Tim Lindsay. And I apologize for the duration of our relationship if I'm annoying you, because I know that I probably am. Because I'll say a lot of things you don't want to hear, like do your friggin' job. You know, that's chapter 1 of my upcoming book that nobody's going to read. So let's get into it. Social media. And we just talked this morning, actually, on the quick start, just got off with Brendan Conley and talked about the power of it and how it can be used for good. I always reference the fact, and this is me being Grandpa Lindsay waving my cane at the clouds, don't get caught in the wormhole that social media can become. And I was doing it so much one time. I was sort of hammering that point so much one time. One of our great agents that has phenomenal marketing, Allie Goodwin, came to my office later and kicked me right here on the side of the neck. And she's like, you should stop saying that because people are going to avoid social media. And I took to what she said it, to heart, because I'm not telling you to avoid social media. We're doing a whole class on it. So clearly, Gary's excited about it. He's got a wonderful MySpace page if you've ever been there. So we know it's powerful. We also know it can be used as a force for good, and you can also get sidetracked. And it's about how we, the method and the message that we use in all of our marketing. And for the most part, social media, now that we're in this digital age, is a tool in which we can engage in real time. And I'm going to throw up my fingers and say in real time, because that's really important. When we talk about instant message, text message, direct messaging through social mediums in real time, if I'm guessing a name here, I'm just going to make sure I go with it. My wife's name is Janina, by the way, so I'm very high sensitivity to not butchering names. She already knows I'm going to butcher her name because she's already laughing. Is it Telena? Oh, for the win. Excellent. All right. So Telena. So if I send Telena an email, she writes back in 3 years, and then I pen her a letter 4 years later, that's not real time. And I know you know that, but I'm just being super clear. So when we talk about making contacts with people, because we understand sometimes you only have, like, I don't have her phone number, but I have her, and I'm speaking to the whole room here. I've got her Snapchat, I've got her Insta, I've got her TikTok, whatever. If you can get a hold of somebody there, move it as quickly as possible to a real-time conversation. We understand the power of being in front of the person. And I say this all the time, and I'm never going to stop saying this until they change Zoom to Zoom 2.0 or whatever we're going to do next. During COVID, everybody got tired of Zoom. Cool. Zoe and I don't care. Get over it. climb under it, light it on fire. Zoom is a phenomenal tool because it replaces what most people say to Zoe and I when we say, hey, grab the phone. And if Nathan were here, and he runs the company, so I'm going to say what he would say if he were here, because Zoe and I work at the pleasure of the king. If he were here, he'd be like, it doesn't need to be the phone. Cool. I get that. Zoe and I are going to hammer the phone for you guys because we know it's like a human batting cage, which sounds violent, and it's true. I can get to more people on the phone. I can make more contacts on the phone. And the power of me using my voice is most of my power as somebody who's communicating with the people to make sure they know what I do and that I require their help to do it. When we say get on the phone, most people are just like, yeah, I appreciate that. But you know what, Tim? I'm better off face-to-face. And the term that I hate in real estate, when everyone's like, we should be belly to belly. Nobody's belly should be touching. That's like me who's overweight being with a pregnant woman in the hallway. If our bellies are touching, that's gross. Don't do that. Toe to toe, face to face. Sure. I get it. The power of that is our highest because, and this is the loose and flowing math I always use. 7% of our power is the words we choose. 43% of our power is the tonality and passion in which we deliver those words. The additional 50% is our body language. And as I'm doing this on Zoom right now, and it's giving me the written text at the bottom of the screen, I think you guys can see that too. Maybe you can't. If you were to read everything that I'm going to blab on about for the next hour, you'd be asleep already. I'm hoping the way in which I'm saying the words I'm choosing and my body language, if you're watching me speak, is changing the way you feel about the message I'm delivering. So we know you're better off face-to-face. And people will use that as a guise for why they're not getting on the phone. Most of our agents, most of the success stories you're going to hear, people are setting more appointments and creating more engagement and nurturing more relationships when they do it via the phone. And it's the fastest way. Door knocking, sure. And if you're going to do anything, and we'll talk about this ad nauseum, if you're going to do anything for lead generation, if you're going to do door knocking, you can't do it once a year and be like, hey, it didn't work. And I'm not saying you only do it once a week, but you should be at least doing it once a week. If door knocking is going to be an arrow in your quiver for your success, you should do it Thursdays. Pick a day. Well, I didn't do it last Thursday because I didn't feel like it. The Thursday before that, it snowed. The Thursday before that, didn't feel like it. The Thursday before that, my cat was in a bad mood. Then you can't say it doesn't work. Hi. What's going on? Oh, people are coming in. I'm so confused. Wow. Here we go. Hey guys, the room's filling up. Yeah. I was like, yeah. Anybody watching this later on KWBC Alarm Hub? So yeah, we're going full Phil Donahue right now. Oprah, I'm going to give away Buicks later. So my office is filling up with some humans. Stay with us. What I could do is zoom this up to a screen. I'm going to work on that. Stay with us at home, people. Stay with us at home. I thought, honestly, and I was going to try to jump out of a window that doesn't open. I thought you were coming in to tell me that the mic wasn't working. But I'm like, no, I was communicating early with people. Awesome. Unfortunately, they can hear everything I'm saying. Yes. Awesome. Great. Welcome in, guys. So in the grand scheme of things, the beauty of us being able to have a conversation with somebody over the phone is always going to be our highest and best use. So I know I just went down a wormhole on social media. I'm just asking you guys that you don't get pulled into that. And you're like, I'm going to go post something magical and get engagement. And then like 7 hours later, you're like, I'm still in my pajama pants and I'm watching cat videos. And I don't even know what my intention was for the day. So social media can be for the greater good. Don't let it pull you into a wormhole. And I speak as somebody who fell in absolute love with TikTok during COVID, 1000%, right? I talked about this the other day. I think it was with you actually. Yeah, TikTok to me, for sure. It's fascinating to me that the people that we have as friends, I'm using my spirit fingers again, the people that we have in our life that we're friends with on Insta or Facebook, what's fascinating is their stuff comes into our newsfeed. And more often than not, and you've all done this, you roll your eyes and you're like, oh God, she's talking about her perfect fiance. Oh God, they're showing us the vacation they're on. We're always getting the perfect side of everyone's life for the most part. You know, nobody's like heading back into, alimony court to fight with my ex. Like nobody's really posting those pictures unless you have like a really great coffee while you're walking into court. So the fact that people that we're actually friends with or have a relationship with, when we're on a social media where we're connected to them and we're seeing their content, invariably for me, now everybody's like, God, am I connected to him? And am I annoying him? No, you're not. It turns us off. I find it fascinating. The people that we're connected with on most social medias, we see their content and it's a little bit of a turnoff. It's a little bit of an eye roll. I go on TikTok where I've never created any content, simply on there voyeuristically, which I know sounds horrible, but I just said that. And I'm watching people that I've never met and their content is endearing to me. I find that whole thing fascinating. I think that's why TikTok is so successful. There's like entire channels where people complain about the fact that they've learned more on TikTok than they learned in their entire undergrad at their college for 4 years and $160,000. So make it a force for good, create content that is valuable and endearing, and make sure before, and this goes for everything, not just the content you're creating, because we can certainly do this. And I apologize, my allergies are kicking my head in right now. Let's make sure that we ask ourselves twice and our cat 3 times, is this worthy of posting? Because what's fascinating is people will create content or just post anything. And I say this with love. I don't, and nobody else is going to benefit from you flying the flag. And please understand where I'm coming from, because I am a man of faith and I have my politics too. That's never going to win you any deals. I'll repeat that. Our faith and our politics should probably be kept close to our vest. And this is like an old school thing. Your parents probably told you, or your grandparents said, we don't discuss faith and politics in public. Okay, let's not do that. And I'm not saying that you can't be selling homes to people in your parish or selling homes to the people that you maybe belong to a certain political party and you want to do that. I'm not saying that. What's fascinating is that people will absolutely flamethrow on social media and you are eliminating probably half of the crowd that you could sell to. The great Michael Jordan said 4,000 years ago, when he finally finished basketball, somebody said to him, because, you know, at the time he showed his cards a little bit, and somebody's like, well, if you've been a Democrat, why were you never talking about your politics during basketball? And he's like, and he pushed back a little bit because he's like, well, I never said I was a Democrat. He goes, but ultimately, he goes, I wasn't worried about if people were red or blue. I was worried about their money that was green. Like his job is to sell basketball sneakers now, his whole Jordan brand. And why would you isolate an entire segment of the population because of your feelings? And I'm not saying that your feelings aren't valid. And I know I've gone on a complete diatribe about how we should behave online, but I think this is wildly important. You have to remember, in everything you do at this company, there's 668 other agents and their families at home that are going to be subject to how we behave in the public domain. And, you know, I use a lot of bad analogies. Here's one of them. We're all unfortunately wearing Nate's underwear. And I'm going to ask you not to poop in it, right? Because everybody is, because they're not going to remember that Tim Lindsay was the jackalope. They're going to remember that I worked for KW. And then you've painted our entire company with a broad brush. So if you don't like who's in the White House right now, talk to your cat about it. If you don't like who was in the White House before, talk to your cat about it. I'm not telling you not to celebrate your faith and not to hold your beliefs in this space. I think it's not going to benefit your business. I hope everybody understands where I'm coming from. And I'm grateful that I'm in a company where I can speak this way. Because in most companies, if I said faith or religion, I would have already been fired. So that's a benefit of where we play, which is pretty cool. Because we're privately held. If publicly held, I would have been fired 7 minutes ago. So I'm going to actually move the video carefully. Stay with me. Because I want to get this up onto a screen where people can watch. Not that I don't know. Hold on, let me go here. This is going to go sideways. I can feel it. Stay with me at home. Does anybody have questions, comments, or concerns, or something we want to make sure we cover before we do get started today? Anybody at home? Nothing, something, maybe?
No, I don't have any questions right now. Thank you.
Okay. Talena.
Yes.
My wife's name is Janina. It's spelled Gianina.
That's a tough one too. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
just picture her in 7th grade and ask yourself, what does that maybe rhyme with if you try hard enough? Yeah. And she's Scottish descent from Australia.
Okay.
That should give you a peek behind the curtain at the mania of my in-laws. Let's name her Janina, which is Italian for Janet. It makes zero sense. And my in-laws make zero sense. So yeah, it's a beautiful name. How do you spell it carefully? That's my answer.
Talena. So I pretty much explain it like Elena, and you just put a T in front of it.
Sure.
Talena. And that's exactly what my mom did. She didn't find it anywhere.
Yep.
I have
And is it and last name is Chenard?
It is. Yep.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to like whatever I say next is going to be wrong. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to ask the in-studio guest, do you want it on this TV over here or do you want it on that TV? Which TV do we want, boys and girls? You want it on the 55 and you guys can turn your chairs around? Where are we going? We're going to go to the 55. All right. All right. Sorry, kids. Everybody's confused. I thought Zoe was coming in to be like, nobody can hear you. All right. That should work. And you guys at home can still see the slide deck, right? I broke it for a second, but give me a second. We'll get back to. I feel so bad for the kid that's going to watch this video in like a month and be like, what happened today? He's screaming about politics and religion. He's breaking the television. All right. So that's up there now. Now I got to go here. And I'm going to go back here. And then I'm going to go, oh boy, swap displays. Oh, hang on a second. Yeah, so you guys are going to see the ugly slide deck in studio. You okay with that? Everybody's good? I know the guys at home have the full screen. Excellent, because that's what's actually going to get recorded to the universe. Because all we did was make that my computer. I don't know what's happening. I really don't know. Anyway, my apologies. Look at that. 20 minutes in, we're going to get started. Excellent. Moving on. We're in the lead generation pillar. We're talking about social media today. Friday at 9 o'clock, we'll talk about capturing more leads. And again, the way we're doing this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, this is going to take us right into May. I think we go right up to Memorial Day weekend. For those of you sort of trying to plan your life for the summer, I can tell you, if you've ever heard us talk about business planning clinic, we usually do it in the fall, getting ready for the next year. And then we do a halftime business planning clinic, because what we do is we make grand plans in the fall, and then we start 2023. And then usually by May, we're like, what the hell were my plans for 2023? So we sort of do a reset. So Thursday, June 29th, we're going to deliver a business planning clinic for the half, because it's the halfway mark of the year. That'll be in Portsmouth live, and we'll also throw it up on the Zooms, just so you know, if you want to scratch that into your calendar. It's also our managing broker, Jennifer Vachon's birthday. So there'll be cake and probably an open bar, probably not an open bar, but a girl can dream. All right, let's go. If you get your phones out, you can hit that QR code. The great Zoe Kirkpatrick built a digital workbook for you guys. So if you zap that, you'll get the workbook. If you're holding your phone up or you're not holding your phone up, I'm going to give you a few more seconds. 3.5, 2.5, 1.5. We're good. What's fascinating too is the kids in studio get to see all the notes that I don't use, because I just don't use the notes. So enjoy the show. All right. So we're going to talk about 10-5-1 engagement. We talk about this every day. That's our success strategy. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about posting practices. We're going to talk about social media strategies. And then we'll do some recaps and get you guys on your way. My goal, of course, is to have you done by 11 o'clock. I think we're going to be able to skate fast enough to get you done before 11 o'clock. And then I would love everybody, because I know most of you, 99% of you, are licensed in New Hampshire. So I'm going to get you down the hallway so you can go into the training room where Jennifer Vachon is delivering contracts. If you're at home, as soon as we're done here, jump over to kellertv.com. Maine starts at 10. New Hampshire starts at 11. And then we're Facebook Live today at 12 o'clock for the All Partners meeting. That is a watch only situation. So Gary from the Red Book, you'll hear us call it the Red Book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's the MREA book. The reason he called it the Millionaire Real Estate Agent is because if he wrote a book called the Peppy Real Estate Agent, nobody would have bought it. And spoiler alert, I say this every time, the business planning clinic that we deliver is based on the Red Book. And if you haven't read the Red Book yet, pun intended, I'll say this. Hi, Gary, you look great. It's a horrible read. It's a business blueprint. It's not a page turner. It's not a romance novel. Like, oh my God, Timmy fell in the well. I wonder if Lassie will go get help. Like, that's not what's happening. It's a horribly dry read because it is a blueprint for our business. Shift, the other book you'll hear us talk about quite a bit, That is the playbook for the activities. So if you haven't dug into the red book yet, I'm going to tell you to dig into it. I probably wouldn't bring it to the beach. I don't know, wherever you read it. Just know it's not a prerequisite too. When we get to business planning clinic, even the halftime business planning clinic, don't feel like you can't come to business planning clinic because you've never read the red book. There are millions of copies of the red book stretched across our ecosystem, the entire company of KW. And I would argue that most copies probably don't have a broken spine. Most people bought it and they put it on their shelf and they're like, you know what? My bookshelf is wicked smart. And they haven't read the book. What you'll realize over time is that things from the red book, especially when you jump into business planning clinic, is the same stuff that Zoe and I are talking about all the time, but you've already blocked us out because we're like the teacher from the Peanuts. Wah, 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 wah. So we're not making this stuff up. Zoe and I are also not really, said with love, we're not really teaching you anything. We're just reminding you as your coaches. This is all the stuff we know. So Gary's book in there, one of his quotes is, it takes time to learn something, more time to implement it, and even longer to approach mastery of it. And when we talk about mastery at KW or in general, there's a chronological rule that it takes 10,000 hours to gain mastery of something. And I don't think, for me personally, I don't think we ever become the master of anything. There's not mastery of a certain discipline. There's mastery of yourself in that discipline. Because obviously there's going to be different levels of greatness based on your physical makeup, your mental structure. We're going to talk about mindset quite a bit during this class. So again, to learn something, to implement it, and then to start to approach mastery of it are three very different things. And what happens in most classes is, and Gary talks about this all the time, if you're involved in education and you don't actually implement or apply what you learned, it was really just entertainment. So when you're leaving something like Mega Camp this summer in Texas, or we all got back from California and family reunion, and people come back with these 32 bullet point to-do lists. I'm going to do all this stuff in the next week. No, you're not. Take one thing, beat the daylights out of it, get it up and running, get it to 38,000 feet, and then go grab the next thing. But when we try to say, well, I'm gonna do, and you hear this term all the time, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. Take one thing, elevate it to a point where it is sustainable and replicatable, and to a point where if somebody came in your stead, you could teach it to them. Until it's part of your standard and it's a deliverable for you, I wouldn't add the next thing. And this is where we also get in our way, because we also, as we're getting started, and I've got 3 growing agents. You'll notice I never say new. You were new the day your license landed. After that, stop calling yourself new, because your future client doesn't want to hear new. I don't want to hear new, right? You're a growing agent in our ecosystem. And as a growing agent, we can tend to handcuff ourselves mentally because we're like, well, you know, I was going to make some calls today, Tim, but I'm waiting for my website to be done. She's never going to be done. Your website's going to be incomplete and relatively awful, probably for the rest of forever, right? Because there's always going to be something you're working on. But what you need to remember is when a client goes to your website, they don't know that page 13 is missing. They know what's there is there. And if you think your website is going to put you on stage with Gary in 5 years, said with love, you and your God-given talents, you and your ability to nurture relationships, and how you do that, the method and the message are going to put you on stage with Gary, if that's where you want to be. I say that because Gary always says, everyone that can hear the sound of my voice right now, you can be anywhere you want to be in 5 years. And the biggest mental block for most people is we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and we underestimate what we can accomplish in 5. You guys can be wherever you want to be in 5 years. And the absolute boredom of what I'm going to ask your mornings to look like in order to get there is what keeps most people from getting there. Because most people get into real estate, they're like, well, I watched a lot of HGTV. It looks super sexy. I get to dress nice. I whip doors open. Everything's $7.1 million. That's not how we actually do things, right? And nobody's coming to help you. We're here to help, but nobody's coming to save you. And real estate is not a scratch ticket. There's a lot of hard work. Everyone who is doing really well dealt with all the same mental blocks, dealt with all the stuff that you guys are going through now and will continue to go through. The benefit of our ecosystem, the benefit of the fact that each and every one of you has 668 teammates covering 4 states is there's probably no unanswerable question in our ecosystem. And I say that if you call Nate Dickey, you're like, I don't even know his number, 603-817-1088. He's our owner. He might not call you right back because he might be on the phone with God or Gary, but he'll call you back soon. He might not have the answer, but he has somebody in our ecosystem who's been through what you're going through. So the answer is on the other end of a phone call or a text. So don't forget that. And that's why coming to classes like this, going to contracts, being at the all partners meeting, rubbing elbows with the other agents that are doing the damn thing is going to be effective for you. So learn something, implement it, and then get that thing to a point where you're confident and competent, right? Confidence builds competence and competence builds confidence. And when we get to the point where we just know this is what I do, this is how I do it, it becomes part of your standard. Because a lot of our great agents love to fall on the Nerf sword, and their inability to grow their team is, well, nobody else wants to work with, everybody wants to work with me, Tim. Like if I couldn't bring somebody on my team because it wouldn't be working with me. When you go and check in at a Hilton, is Mr. Hilton behind the desk? Have you ever met Mr. Ritz and Mr. Carlton? Or do you just love the hotel? It's the experience and the standard that they put in place that creates the experience for the end user. That's what people want to work with. So if you can express your standard to the people that start to enter your ecosystem when you start to build your team, should you choose to, because for some of you, you'll be wildly successful. It's going to be you and a MacBook and a cat for the rest of your life. And I love that. Do that. Some people don't want the complication of building a big team. Don't make it more complicated than it is. We tend to make it complicated because we want to tell ourselves, well, it's like brain surgery. It's all this hard work. It's rocket science. No, it's just hard work. And it's making sure that we're building our business in the morning so we can run it in the afternoon. We grow it in the morning to run it in the afternoon. So the 10-5-1 engagement system. Social media is a powerful tool. It's free marketing, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. There are ways, obviously, now, and they're doing this, and the algorithms are terrible. They're terrible, right? Our dear friend, Mark Zuckerberg. Hi, Mark. He hates me. I got my account on Facebook shut down, which I only use, honestly. If my wife posts about our boys, she'll tag me, and then I'll say, cool, and I let that be on a thing. Like, because I've got a lot of friends from like years ago that are morons, and they'll post stuff and tag me in it, and it will show up on my page. So I had to lock my page down. This has nothing to do with why I got shut down. But last May, it was Memorial Day weekend. I wake up and my account's blocked. Mark Zuckerberg and his friends told me that I was apparently posting inappropriate content from Zimbabwe. I assure you, I was in Stratford, New Hampshire. So I tried to fight it. And by July, they never reviewed it and my account got shut down. So this is my new account that I'm using on Facebook now. All that aside, you can, because of the algorithms that the dear Mark Zuckerberg put in place, you can pay to move ads around. What you guys need to know about social media, certainly with Facebook and Insta, because they're both under Meta, under Zuckerberg. I'm watching Zuckerberg's name pop up on the screen, like they're definitely listening to this now. I'll probably be shut down later today. So if I don't see you online later, we had a good run. For sure, you have to pay to move stuff around. Please know on Facebook and certainly Insta, because of Meta and the algorithm, when you post something on your personal page, guess what? All your friends don't see it. I know most of you know that. I put something on my page. Didn't you see it, Stacy? No, she didn't see it. Because they're deciding where it's going to go. And especially on your Facebook business page, which you have to build one if you want to have that online presence. You can't put business content on your personal page. Zuckerberg can't wait to shut you down if you do that. Then you have to understand, okay, now my personal page, I build my business page. I go back to my personal page and invite everybody to my business page. Even then, if you post about your open house, your new listing, the fact that the Lindsays just moved to America, not everyone's going to see it. You'll have to do paid ads to do a demographic or a geographic push. And you don't need to do that. What I need you to remember is social media is a powerful tool. I would love for you guys to keep it on free. I think you can do just enough with marketing. Marketing, again, guys, is passive. Prospecting is active. You pick up the 80,000-pound phone, that's prospecting. Marketing is in the background to help make sure that people know that you exist, right? Absent a relationship with me, all somebody has who hasn't met me is my reputation. What is my outward facing reputation on social media with my marketing? And this is why I say, when you start to work with a client and you're like, well, they're only going to find my Facebook business page. Well, you haven't met my wife. And everybody's got that friend that could find out anything about anybody in under 7 minutes. That's Janina Lindsay. She could do she's like, should be working for the CIA, right? So if we are operating on the false pretense that, well, if I have a client that starts to work with me, they'll find my business Insta, they'll find my business Facebook. They're going to find everything. So if there's a picture of you on a donkey in Mexico, double fisting Bud Lights with no shirt on, and you're a girl, they're going to see that. They're not going to skate back to your business page and be like, oh, she's such a sweetheart. What a beautiful pantsuit. Nope. They're still on the other page saying, honey, look, the girl we just signed the listing with has ribcage tattoos that you shouldn't be able to see, but she's got topless nudes on Facebook. Like, we have to remember, they're going to find everything. Guys and girls, when you put it on the interwebs, this is my speech to my boys. My oldest is about to head off to school and wants to do history and poli-sci on a law track. He wants to be Senator Lindsay at some point. They're going to find stupid from 4th grade. So if you're going to build a massive business and you want to make sure, absent a relationship with you, if they have your reputation, what is that? So be very cognizant about what you're putting out there. Expand your sphere with your smartphone. It's a great thing to do. And this is where I'm going to go down the wormhole for a couple seconds about sphere and sphere of influence. I think when we say sphere of influence, we think about everybody in our life. What we need to understand is our sphere is everyone in our life. Everyone that I've ever made contact with, I would consider part of my sphere. My sphere of influence are the people inside of my sphere that are most effective. Your sphere of influence are the people that you have influence over, or the people in your life that have influence over others. And I don't mean in a Dr. Evil $1 billion kind of way. I'm saying they're people that move the needle. They're the mayor of their town. They are the straw in the drink. So when you're thinking about your sphere, that's cool. But also inside your sphere, I always pick on Aunt Julie. Your Aunt Julie only talks to her cat. She's not really moving the social needle. She'll need your help at some point, and that's cool. You're going to find her and Mittens a wonderful 55 plus to live in. But she's not out talking to everybody all the time. She talks to her cat and watches The Price is Right. We love Aunt Julie. But your friend Stacy, who everyone in town knows, for good or for bad, maybe Stacy's on the back of the donkey, I don't know. But anyway, everyone knows her. She's going to move the needle. I want her to be an ambassador for me. And then when we do go online, don't post something, and you'll see this in a slide coming up. Don't post and ghost. Don't pose a question and then never re-engage with the conversation you started. That's tantamount to me walking down the hallway. I see Paul Dunn walking down the hallway. He passes me and I say, hey, Paul, how you doing? And he stops, spins around and starts a conversation with me. And I just keep walking. As I just drew that picture for you, that's wildly friggin' rude. Why would you do that online? This just in, don't do it. Bad idea, bad practice, right? So my point being, you don't need, and we talked about this morning with Brendan Connolly, I got to be on TikTok. I got to be on Snapchat because I'm thinking about all the segments. And I would agree with you. Like, all those different social mediums have different personnel. You're talking to different segments of your life. I get that. You also don't need to be in all those places. How did your freshman year of real estate go? Well, I'm still working on my social media. Cool. Thank God it's free, because you can't afford not free because you haven't sold the house in 16 months because you've been working on your TikTok. So don't let it get in the way. Don't let it handcuff you from getting started and having actual conversations with the humans. It is marketing. It is passive. It augments your greatness. I have yet to see somebody get online and be like, Gary, Snapchat, 20 million a month. because we'd be teaching a class about it. And we're talking about social media right now, and your coach is telling you not to get lost in social media. It's a great tool. It's not going to be the only arrow in your quiver for success. So when we talk about the 10-5-1, this is what we mean. How many posts do you like per day? If you're not liking any, and I'm terrible at this, and now I could fall on the nerf sword of, well, I'm not selling anymore, so I don't need to worry about it. I literally have my Facebook right now, so I can simulcast the All Partners meeting later today at 12 o'clock. I'm going to have Jeffrey Zoom to my desk, and then I'm going to put it on Facebook. I use it so I can do the quick start in the morning. I don't post on Facebook. And I have this memorized for some insane reason. My last post on Instagram is of my fat bike in the woods, December 30th, 2018. Meet me at the corner of I don't and care. I just don't care. I'm not worried about it. I'm 51. Let's have an honest conversation. I'm not posting, my strappy sandals and my new sundress. Nobody cares because I know nobody cares. I'm following my wife and I'm posting stuff that she posts about our kids. Reposting, I should say. If you are on social media and you see stuff, and don't do it disingenuously. I'm just going to go like 10 things so I can check that box. Find things that you like. Do you like it or do you love it? Right? And if somebody does something cool, I'm going to like it. If somebody's talking about the relationship, I'll put up a heart because I'm happy that somebody's happy. So 10 likes or hearts. 10 likes or hearts every day. And again, if you finish this class and you're like, I'm not doing social media, cool, rock on. Then let's talk about the phone. Let's talk about handwritten notes. Let's talk about door knocking. We got to find the thing you're going to do. 10 hearts or likes every day. 5 comments, and I'm going to double down on this too. 5 comments of 5 words or more. The great Nathan Dickey, our fearless leader here, our owner at KWCLM, is infamous for what I consider the middle finger of texting. I will write to him because I'm Dr. Talks a lot. If you haven't figured that out yet, I will craft a text message to him with colors and feelings and emotions. Tick, 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 tick. I'm texting away. He will write back because he's a high D, very direct. He'll write back K. The K, even worse, the capital K. When somebody responds to your text with a K, that to me is like the middle finger of texting. So make sure when you do comment on somebody's stuff, it's 5 words or more. Be expressive. Try to use the words that you're using via text, via the written word, to express the emotion and the passion that you would if you were talking to them. Does that make sense? If somebody told you something, like I say to Nate all the time, would you ever K me in person? Would you ever K somebody in person? And this just did. And if you're somebody who loves the K, I'm sorry, I guess we're not friends anymore. If you would K somebody in real time, face to face, holy Moses, right? And second question, are you that lazy? So 5 comments of 5 words or more. And then get people thinking about you. So share something. And again, be careful about what you share because you're now taking somebody else's thoughts and emotions and sharing it. So make sure you are steadfast and you're like, this is cool, I'll share it. I mean, somebody collecting money, somebody who just ran the marathon, who's trying to raise money, whatever, that's cool. So could you share something every day? Could you post something every day? 1 post. And again, if this is not your jam, don't just do it to do it. I don't want you to do these things just to check boxes. I want you to think about where could you engage that you're not, because there's an opportunity there. Does that make sense? Any questions about those things? So in the student workbook, if you downloaded that, this is on page 83. Connect on social media. Ask your fellow participants what social media platforms they currently use. If you use the same social media platform, make sure you're connected and then connect with me. Sure, you can do that. I'm Timothy C. Lindsay on all the things. And I'm not posting, so it's wildly boring. But I'm Timothy C. Lindsay on all the things. I think I'm Timothy C. Lindsay on TikTok. Kaylee always says that I talk too much. Like that's a running joke. Like the password for everything at our company is Tim talks too much. So I think I forget what my handle is on TikTok. Anyway, so if you find me on there, awesome. Would love to be friends. I'm all about that. Let's open mic. If you're at home, anybody in the room, what is your favorite one? The one I already told you guys, guilty as charged, like TikTok. I will passively watch the Bruins beat the daylights out of the Florida Panthers this weekend, and I will be TikToking at the same time because they're both mindless. Cat videos and hockey. So what do we got? Paul, what are you using?
I'm not really. I did
Okay.
sign up. I did sign up for Facebook. I'm actually seeing Zoe later on. I've got some problems with the accounts, so I
Okay.
haven't been posting anything on them. But that's all I'm on. I don't do social media.
Okay, run with it. I believe you. And yeah, if it's not your jam, right? And I think everybody's looking at you and me with the gray hair and they're like, of course they don't want to do social media. Nope. If it's not your jam, it's not your jam. I like it and I love connecting with people and I love being able to, especially as an end user, Paul, I think it's going to be wildly powerful for you when I talk to you guys about making sure, hey, tomorrow I'm going to talk to these 20 people. It's a great tool to see what's going on in people's lives. So you can reference when I call. When I talk to Talena, I can be like, oh, I saw you got the new dog, blah, 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 whatever. Like, and it's not like, oh my God, they're watching over the fence. No, you put it on social media, stupid. Like, and it shows that I'm aware and I'm watching her stuff and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great tool to find out what's going on in people's lives. But again, I all about it, Paul. Don't get 38 accounts on 38 mediums just because you feel you have to. It's brain damage. I'd rather have you take that energy and do other things to build your business. So what else we got? What else we got in the room? They cannot, but I will repeat for you. Sindel, what do you got? She's on Facebook. Anybody else in the room? We got somebody who doesn't use much. That's fine. What's your name? We haven't met, dude. Have we met? Henderson. Oh, I'm so sorry, dude. Sorry. It was like a drive-by shooting when everybody came in. I didn't really gather everybody. Connor Henderson doesn't use it much. I'm on board with that. Go ahead. What do we got, Derek? Facebook. All right. So we got 2 Facebooks and a non-user. Sindel uses Instagram and Facebook alike. So I'm going to pick on that a little bit. Well, you're going to drive down engagement on one of those when I start to realize I can read the same story in both places. There's somebody, there's somebody that has a TV show and a radio show. If I listen to their radio show and then I know, he did not practice this, but when Ryan Seacrest was on with Kelly in the morning, he wasn't pulling the content from his morning show and talking about it with her. There were two different cakes, right? Amen, sister. Yeah. Well, so my point being, if you could take the same content and just shove a different angle on Instagram. So they are getting something different. I guarantee people are going to figure out. And I just think, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Well, I'm just going to cross pollinate. I get that. But if I know after 5 times, whatever Sindel puts over here is going to be over there, I'm not going to go there anymore. Right. And you are talking to 2 different groups. I get that because there's some people that are never going to go to your Facebook, but I would also mix it up and then just see if your numbers start to grow on the 2. That's all. What else we got? Anybody want to share?
I'll share.
ahead.
So I do feel like I will be using Facebook
Yep.
in general. In the past, I pretty much have always been cautious about what I'm liking and posting, and I
Mhm.
really don't use it much now, but I do feel like I can connect with a lot of people from my past that I haven't seen in a long time by using that platform. And I don't really use Instagram. I have an account, but I stopped using it because I did feel, kind of to follow up with you, it's the same content. What's the point? It's just, I don't like actually watching things twice either. And then TikTok, I probably won't use it in that manner, but I did fall into it with COVID as well, like you said.
Oh my God. Well, it's
Yeah.
funny because Gary actually admitted to it. We were at last summer at Mega Camp. Gary does a CEO mastermind before both events. And at Mega Camp, the CEO mastermind, we got there and Gary's a musician. He's probably listening. He's not listening. I'm just kidding. So Gary's a guitarist and he like growing up, he wanted to be a musician. So his band will play at certain things. And we get to the CEO mastermind and over on the right-hand side, there's a setup. I'm like, oh God, he's going to play music later. And that wasn't the case. So I completely fangirl because this dude walks out. I'm the only one that knows who he is because I found him on TikTok. His name is Teddy Swims, by the way. I don't know if you've ever seen Teddy Swims sing. Friggin' genius. Gary found him on TikTok. So here's we're the only 2 old guys in the room who knows who Teddy Swims is. One of us has enough money to invite him to the party. Teddy Swims performs for us. It was ridiculous. I threw my bra and panties on the stage. He's so good. He's amazeballs. So if you haven't found him, go find him. He's remarkably talented. He does a ridiculous cover of Journey, by the way, which Gary actually coaxed him to do because he had to like drink warm tea before he did it, but phenomenally talented. So yeah, awesome. The thought process behind, figuring out which one you like. I think it's important to have something, and whether you're using it to, politely, said with love, spy on your people before you engage with them, or to connect with them. But there are people in real estate who will do quite well and be fine without a social media presence, because here's the thing. When everybody's like, well, everybody starts their search online. Sure. But when I'm a buyer, I'm not like, all right, I got to go on TikTok and find the coolest agent. No, I'm going to aggregator portals to look at houses. And we start our search online as well. We're going to start looking for a house, because if I'm going to list, I'm not moving into the woods. If I'm going to sell my house, I have to start to see if the market bears what I'm looking for. So even our sellers start an online home search on portals that have all the houses. Our friends at Billo and all the other places, right? I'm not going to be like, I got to get on Facebook and see who has the most likes and shares. That's not where it's happening. So when we say that, I think we have to remember they're starting their search for their next home online, not for the greatest Instagram account. If you have a presence, great. If you don't, and you put that energy elsewhere, also important. Don't overthink it. If you're at home and you're watching this later, I would have you pause now and go online and do social. We have a handful of people that aren't doing social, so I'm not going to ask you to take 10 minutes right now to open up an account that you don't want to open. I'm going to ask you guys after we end class, if you voyeuristically go to contracts on Keller TV at 11 o'clock, or if you're sitting in the room, you can certainly grab your phone and make sure you start to do this. We're doing this during Ignite anyway, right? 10 hearts or likes, 5 comments of 5 words or more. And then can you post something once a day or share something of value, or both once a day? Don't overthink it, and don't let it handcuff you. The most important thing we can do in the morning is communicate with our people and make sure that they know that we're alive, we're in real estate, and we're here to help. So thoughts, comments, concerns based on where we are so far. And we're at 9:52, so we're doing okay. Anything? Just checking. All right. This is counterintuitive. So who knows about the 80-20 principle? It's called the Pareto principle. Does anybody know what that is? Derek says yes. Yes? Okay. Okay, so the Pareto principle. Pareto was an Italian philosopher, and the mindset behind the 80-20 rule of the Pareto principle is that he was looking at land ownership in Italy, and basically 20% of the people owned 80% of the land. The mindset behind it is 20% of our activities give us 80% of our results. You'll hear us refer to that at Keller Williams as your big rocks. And it doesn't make any sense, because they're like, well, no, I feel like I need to be working 80% of the time to get 20% results, but it's actually tipped on its head. So that's why we talk about doing your big rocks, doing your 20%. The great Jay Papasan, who wrote most of the books with Gary, has now the 20%er, which is his blog, which is phenomenal. And it's all about that. Like, what do you need to do in the morning? What do you have to, and it's almost like if you're a kid, like eating your vegetables. Like, nobody's like jumping up, shave, shower, get dressed. Like, I can't wait to put on the headset, make some phone calls. Like, nobody's dying to do that. What we invariably have to do to grow our businesses is like 2 buckets of suck with a side of fries. I get that. And that's the 20%. So we flip it on its head when it comes to our mindset behind posting on social media. We want to make sure that you think, well, no, I would want 80% of it to be about business. We want to make sure we stay human in the interaction. And what we mean by that is we have to remember, and this is really important, you asked people on your personal Facebook page to go like your business page and become followers. They did. 20 minutes later, they started to absolutely detest your content. Because your content every day is about how great you are. I'm going to ask all of you. I already know the answer. It's rhetorical, but here we go. Does anybody have a dentist that's posting on social media about the caps and the fillings and the root canals they do every day, flexing their muscles? No. They're just busy being really good at what they do. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't celebrate your victories, but we have to make the content on our business page valuable to the humans in which we intend to serve. If I'm going on social media to be like, yeah, got another listing because I'm the greatest ever, I already don't want to work with you. Like at this point, mentally in my heart, I want to see you in a crosswalk so I can run you over so I never have to see you post again. Like you're building disdain for me at this point. Although, and this is brilliant, and I've seen people do this in the past, somebody had a picture of their son on his new bike, gracefully placed in the background, not out of focus, as most people that are really good with their $30,000 iPhones would know. You want it in soft focus. It's more bougie. Not out of focus in the background was their brand new sign. They had made a brokerage change. They were now with us, and the comments started to light up. Hey, Jimmy's bike is awesome. Are you with Keller now? Because everybody could see the sign in the background. There was no comment about that. It just happened to be in the background. It was brilliant, let's be honest. So when I'm posting, I have to ask myself before I push play, before I put it out to the universe, who benefits from this? Me or the future client that I want to work with? Because when I start to see Stacy or Paul or Talena start to come through my newsfeed, am I bracing myself for, oh dear God, here comes their ego? Or am I like, wow, it's always been valuable. It's going to be valuable again. I can't wait to push play and watch the video or read about their new listing. 80% of it, though, is going to be about the restaurant that just opened, because we have to decide where we're going to be the mayor. So if you guys think about where do you want to, and I'll ask everybody to give me their zip code or their town. So in the room, Connor, like what town would you want to take over? Like what zip code do you want? You're in Dover. So he wants to grab his market share in Dover. Derek, York, Sindel. Guilford, the Lakes region for Sindel. What about you guys online?
Danville.
Okay. Paul?
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth?
Yeah.
Stacy? Where you guys want to take over? What's your zip code? What's your town that you guys want the most market share in? He's not unmuting. Unmute for me. What town do you guys want to take over?
Dover, but
Dover. All right, so you're fighting with somebody in the room already. But you know, here's what we got to remember: there's enough to go around, right? You know, one of the greatest quotes from Family Reunion was, "Just because the perspective or the perception that there's less opportunity now doesn't make your opportunity less." Right? Because I think we get in our own heads, and you get started just off the top of our head. KW New England, the 6 states that we serve, we have 6,000 agents at Keller Williams in New England. Licensed agents in the state of New Hampshire, there's about 6,000 licensed agents in the state of New Hampshire. And our company is 10, almost 11% of that. Great stat from Family Reunion to prove that we are dominant, which is arguably ridiculous when you think about the age of some of the other brokerages in America. We only just turned 40 this year. KWCLM turns 19 on July 1st. And the stat they threw out on stage at Family Reunion in February in California, we are 1 in every 5 transactions in the United States went through a Keller building last year. We're 20% of the market in the country. That's obnoxious. So to think that you can't take the skill set and all the tools here and the resources here and go punch somebody else in the face and steal their cheese is nonsense. So no matter what town you want to dominate, you can absolutely do it. If you want to tell yourself it's impossible, right? I'm going to go back to, I talk about him all the time. Roger Bannister, the first guy that ran the 4-minute mile. The year after he ran the 4-minute mile, thousands of people ran a 4-minute mile because he proved to everyone that it was possible. And we have agents in our ecosystem that are dominating their current zip codes. So there's no reason that you can't. So now that you have said the town that you want to take over, how are you telling the story of that town? It's wildly important that obviously you get the human into the brick and mortar. We move them into the houses they choose to live in. We also have to curate the story of the lifestyle that the house provides. Yes, they're going to live their life. And yes, during COVID, people only cared about their 4 walls. So many people moved during COVID because they're just like, we need more space. I hate my children. We need more space. We have 19 cats. Didn't bother me until I was home all the time. Right. We had a lot of people that like, I think we need separate offices and I'd like a bigger deck. You know, because people started to live their life and they were trying to do, you know, staycations and stay everything at home during COVID. And we had a lot of people during COVID that realized it's not the house, it's my husband, you know, so we had a lot of people that were just, yeah, we were breaking up everything. We're selling extra houses, breaking up marriages. COVID did a lot. We have to understand, we have to curate the desire to come and live their life in this zip code. So we want to tell that story. You know, your post, I'll pick on, I always call it Chicken Borough. It's a passion of mine. If you live in Wolfboro, there's the Wolf Trap, right? It's down on the water. It's going to open after Memorial Day. It's going to be closed usually a week before Columbus Day. And I'm going to make sure that I'm telling the story that they're opening. When they're closing, I want to have my finger on the pulse of the town in which I want to be the mayor. So that's my business content. 20% of it should be, I just moved the Lindsays here from Washington State. Congratulations to them. They get to live their life in Portsmouth now, Danville now, Guilford now, you know. And in celebration of that, what do you love about the town? If you live in Guilford, what do you love about our town? And let people comment about that and drive the conversation. I mean, super simple, and I've been saying this for years, super simple questions to ask. If you want to just start a conversation on your social media business page, really easy question. Do you currently live in your dream home? 99% of Americans are going to say no. And if somebody says yes, I'm going to engage with them online. And if I have their phone number, I'm going to give them a call. Hey, Talena, it's Timmy. Thanks for posting, you know, that you consider the house that you're in, your dream house. I was intrigued when you said that. What makes it your dream home? What makes it, I use this word on purpose, what makes it perfect for you? Oh, it's not perfect. Oh, so it's not your dream home. Now I've got her thinking, right? And it could be the dumbest little thing. I had people that moved into South Dover in 2014 when I was still selling. And I told them when they built the house from the ground up, dug the hole, poured the foundation. It was new construction. And I warned them that, you know, we're doing almost everything. You know what you should put? Because they had big SUVs and the garage was big enough. But, you know, when you're standing outside your garage, getting the groceries out of the end of the thing and the garage door is open and it's raining, that little 2-foot roofette keeps your ass dry when you're getting the groceries out of the car. And they never put roofettes on the thing. And that was the one thing that he called me like 2 months later. He's like, we should have done the roofettes. I should have listened to you. They built the house themselves from the ground up and it still wasn't perfect. So super simple question to ask on social media to start people talking. Do you currently live in your dream home? 99% of them are going to say no. You just got everyone in your life to raise their hand and say, I'm looking for something better. Guess what we do for a living? That's right, Tim. We sell houses to people. Or, and to make it not seem super smarmy and salesy, like I'm going to put you in a Buick today. Ask somebody today, are you thinking about moving in 2024? Somebody's going to write, we're thinking about moving next week. But it also doesn't feel pressing. Doesn't sound like, hey, are you looking to buy, sell, or invest yesterday? Because that comes across as salesy. Are you thinking about moving in 2024? Gives them some cushion to think about it. And it just comes across as curious, at least to me. That's my perspective. That's a simple question to ask to create engagement. 80% personal. Tell me about the restaurants opening. Tell me about in Dover. I always make fun of the title of this thing. What is that thing in Dover? Apple Harvest Fest, Fiasco Festival, whatever it is that they do every fall. And I see the pictures online and I'm high. I like people. There's too many people at that event. But people love it. And when it's happening, you're going to see pictures all over social media. Everyone in Dover goes to Apple Harvest Festival, World, whatever it is. So if I'm an agent, maybe I should have a table at that fiasco so I can meet more humans, because humans buy houses. And what do we do again, Tim? That's right. We sell houses. So I'm going to make sure 80% of what I'm putting online is going to be personal about the benefit of living here, and tell that story. We're selling them the house. That's cool. We have to curate the lifestyle around it. 20% of it can be business-based. Otherwise, you're going to get people to shut it off. I didn't just follow your business page to start watching your commercials. I'm following your business page to find content that helps me live a better life where I live, because I consider you the mayor. As soon as you dissolve that trust between me and you, I'm out. And don't forget, they can show up as somebody who's following your page and also block your content. They wouldn't do that. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you that confident you're that good? So we got to be really, really careful with what we decide to post. So you're 80%. Talk about pets. Does anybody in the room or online have a pet? I got 2 paws up in here. What do you got, Sindel? Of course she does. Sindel has a bearded dragon, because why wouldn't you? Derek, what do you got? Cat, love it. I have 3 cats. I'm a huge cat guy. I find fascinating too, people that are dog people detest cats. People that are cat people tolerate dogs. I use the word tolerate. The reason I don't, I like dogs. Don't get me wrong. I love pets. I find it fascinating. Here comes my judgment, that dog owners will let their dog maul you and they'll be like, oh, she's just getting to know you. No, she's shedding all over my black suit, actually. And I have to be in court in 10 minutes. This is not a good look, right? So what do we got online? Who's online? What do we got for pets?
We have a dog and a leopard gecko.
A gecko.
Well, my daughters, yeah.
Okay, so but we currently have 2 reptiles in the building. Excellent. Okay, what else we got, Paul?
I have a dog.
Okay. Anyone who has a pet, especially a dog, if you're a dog person, you have friends who have dogs, that is the gateway drug to people looking at your content. If you own a golden, you should do something at some point during your calendar year that is a dog event. I would figure out maybe in August. Derek's got his hand up. What's up, bud? Didn't you buy a golden write-off as a tax write-off? I would have you speak with your CPA about that. I have no idea. Yeah. So dicey. He's already, he's gonna go just get a dog. Yep. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. It sounds great, Derek. I would figure out the event, like, and when we talk about doing events in the 36 touch smart plan, it says do 2 events a year. I would argue a great way to build the connectivity between you and your community is do 4. Every 90 days have an event. And it doesn't have to be cost prohibitive. You don't have to go like book a water park for this. You could lean into your allied resources and have them fund stuff for you. Above and beyond that, what if you own a golden? You've got a bunch of people that have golden retrievers. You know it's a huge demographic on planet America. Like everyone who loves their dog loves their dog. They're passionate about it. And if you put together an event, I don't know. What are we talking? 3rd quarter is July, August, September. Maybe in August, in the middle of 3rd quarter, you do an event called the Dog Days of Summer. And you spend the 45 days before the event and the 45 days after the event inviting people. And then on the other side of that, sorry, we missed you. Here's my next event. And you go from lead generation to lead invitation. So every time my phone rings and I see Talena calling me, it's because she's having a weasel festival. I don't know what pet you said you had. You had like a dragon and a chicken and I don't know, cat, dog. You said something. Doesn't matter. I now know when the phone rings and it's you, it's going to be about your next event. Not do I want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Also important, and it should come up, but it should be the background music of our engagement with our humans. Does that make sense? If you have a pet, especially a dog, one of your events every year, one of your somethings every year, it could be completely free. And simply have them post on social media their cutest summer photo for your Dog Days of Summer contest. And then we'll cull it down to the top 3. And we'll have a a voting system put in place and somebody's going to win a spa day for their dog. Well, how do I benefit from that, Tim? Is that going to help me sell houses? You're going to win the hearts and minds of a whole bunch of people that have dogs. Kate Gurka, I said her name wrong again. She's married now. Kate Grassi has a whole thing that she does. She has a box full of dog bones in the back of her truck. And she has, in the box, there are like Ziploc-ish bags with 2 treats in each bag, 2 or 3 treats in each bag. She has a fold over cardboard business card type thing stapled to the top of the bag. The front has all of her business information, and the back says, do you need a bigger backyard? And we've all seen this on HGTV. When you have a couple that's shopping for a new home with a dog on those shows, the dog is always picking the house. And anytime, and she always has them with her in her bag as well. And if she runs into anybody with a dog, she walks up, introduces herself, just, hey, I saw that you had a dog. Do you mind if I give your dog a treat? And the conversation that spurns out of that business card that's stapled over the top of the bag has been a business driver for her. So it doesn't have to be hyper expensive. It has to be memorable. We're creating experiences, not transactions, right? Is art your jam? Cooking, baking, or recipes? Maybe you've got a whole community that you're attracting because your background, like, let's just get this out of the way. Did anybody in kindergarten, when their teacher asked them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Who said, I want to be a realtor? And I'm not picking on it because some of us have it in our lineage. Some of us have grandparents or aunts and uncles that maybe were real estate agents. Maybe your parents were. But most of us said superhero, cop, firefighter, the Pope. I don't know what you said. You probably didn't say realtor. For most people, this is plan B or plan C. This is almost D for me. Right? Didn't see this coming. Most of us didn't see this coming. So what was the passion when you grew up, or what's the thing that you do? If you had the day off, great question to ask yourself for clarity. You win Powerball tomorrow. What are you doing with the rest of your life? I know your answer. You're buying more equipment, making more music. Sindle's in a band, right? Yes, I'm going to go produce more music and make more music. Right? What would you do? I always joke, like I would march across the street to the bike shop and I would probably work mother's hours. I would do bike tune-ups on mountain bikes. 10 to 2 is pretty good. No traffic either way. Walk in with a latte. Talk about mountain bikes. Go home. Pretend I'm busy. Convince my wife I'm still working. But that's my passion. I enjoy that. I would probably start 5 more podcasts because I have a radio background. So what is your passion? What would be the thing that lets you be the straw in the drink that attracts people that you know and love and trust, that you already share a commonality with? So absent your real estate business page, not trying to give you more work, Paul Dunn's getting a migraine right now. But if you went to Johnson & Wales and you know how to cook really well, maybe you start a whole friggin' YouTube channel called Tim's Tomatoes. I don't know what it's called. I have no idea. You figure that out. That's between you and God. But you start a whole cooking channel. And then maybe once a year, you do a thing where you invite people into your house, your best clients, and you cook for them and their spouses and partners. Like I know we haven't said real estate in the last 20 seconds. This needs to be about you and your relationships with people and the experience you create for them, because they're going to be transactional. Write this down. It'll be on the quiz later. Humans buy and sell real estate and make big life-changing moves every 5 to 7 years. In those massive gaps in between those transactions, how are you showing up? Outdoor adventures. I'll go back to mountain biking. What if I just started a 4 o'clock group on Thursdays at the rail trail in Portsmouth? Never bring up real estate. Fat biking with a fat kid. That's what I'd call it. To get that branded after class. 5 weeks in, somebody rolls in and says, hey, where's Tim? Because there's a Facebook page, right? And then they come up and they're just like, hey, you know what? I sorry I haven't introduced myself earlier. Thanks for starting this group. It's given me a reason to leave Liberty Mutual early, get out and get some sunshine. Love this. Hey, what do you do for a living, Tim? Huh. I'm so glad you asked. I'm the straw in the drink right now. This is my group. But real estate's the background music, because all these people that share the commonality of loving mountain biking with me are going to move when they move. But how am I showing up in the gap? That's what this is about. Live music. There's Sindel. There's a whole bunch of people that know her from that. You're going to be selling the most real estate in that circle, right? How many other people in your world and other bands and stuff like that have a real estate license? Amen, sister, right? And team sports, and I always pick on this one. If you're standing on the side of the field where your niece, nephew, son, or daughter plays soccer, lacrosse, whatever, and I'll pick on me. My son, Aiden, is heading off to school to study history and poli-sci. He got recruited for lacrosse. And as he was growing up and he was playing, youth lacrosse, the feeder league for Co-Brown, which is where he plays now as a senior. And it was so stupid because even the colors match. Co-Brown's colors are black and red and white. You see where I'm going with this. And one of the team moms comes over and she's like, we're going to start this fundraiser thing. And we're wondering if anybody wants to be sponsors. And a whole bunch of the dads are this, that, and the other thing. And the moms and dads all have their businesses. Some of them are small business owners. Do you want to do it? And I'm just like, well, yeah, I'd love to do it as long as I get to be title sponsor. And I wasn't even selling at this point. I was already stepped out of sales, but I'm like, I have 600 agents I can give referrals to. So I had Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains, the title sponsor of Black Bear Lacrosse. The colors matched. It was sitting in front of me for so long, but there I am standing like an idiot with a drink in my hand at most of the practices, all of the games, not telling anybody what I really do. Some people knew, but not everybody knew. And if you want to make more money and move more people into more homes, everyone needs to know, right? So we did it. And the coolest thing was every year we did this for the youth team. Every year at the end, no matter what happened, every kid in the youth program, boys and girls, all the age groups, got a tech shirt and what was in the biggest font across the back of their shoulders, and I still see them in the wild today, is our company's logo. And it took me having somebody ask me if I'd like to engage. So my question for you, and the great Jason Abrams, our head of industry out of Texas, says this all the time. What are you near that you're not in? When you go to 10:30 Mass and every third Sunday, there's donuts and coffee downstairs or a pancake breakfast, you're like, well, I'm gluten-free. I don't like pancakes. I don't care. Buy the pancake mix. Curate the experience for the rest of the parish. Don't eat the pancakes. But if there's a whole bunch of people downstairs that if you started to lean in a little bit, you could be the straw in the drink. Or do you start the mountain bike club? Or do you start a cooking channel? Like there's so many different things that we can do that can spurn off of this. And I think we need to think about that. Because if you're really passionate about it, it will come off as authentic. That's important. Don't do something because I think this is going to work. I'm going to pretend to be somebody I'm not. Because that won't come across as sleazy. And this is this, and these are the same people that say to me, well, I don't want to come across as salesy to my friends. As your coach said with love, don't. Be you. Show up as you. You want to do business with the people that you know and love and trust that you share commonalities with? Then let's go do that. I bet your career will be phenomenally enjoyable. And you get to just play in a space with people that you love and print money. You can go to as many closings a week. This is true. You can go to as many closings a week as you like. The question you have to ask yourself is today, this afternoon, since we've been in this class this morning, what will I do this afternoon to make sure that my face is at a kitchen table this weekend? So that same face is at a closing table in 90 days. Because if you were on the quick start this morning, every morning on the quick start, what do? I told you today is April 19th. I remind you that it's 90 days from July 18th. Whatever your face does today is going to put your face at a closing table July 18th. Because it's about 90 days from kitchen table to closing table. And during COVID, people are like, well, things are closing faster, Tim. I think you should say 30 days. Said with love as your coach. Nope. Because we're back to 90 days. And if you don't price the property right, let's go to 180. It's not selling. Well, it's because you got it priced horribly. That's another class. We'll complain about that later. Real estate business posts, listings, open houses, awards, speaking events. Take it to another level. If you're having, your kid invites, all the kids invite their parents in. What do your parents do for work? Especially at the high school level. What if you went in and taught a section of the one thing? What if you taught it to a group that you're already connected with? I've got a great friend who is a physiologist and a performance coach, athletic performance coach. He actually yells at my son, Aiden. He's actually Aiden's strength and conditioning coach for lacrosse. And a handful of years ago, I gave my good friend, you can find him online. It's Ascend Endurance Coaching. His name is Christopher Dunn. And I gave him a copy of The One Thing. And he got it from me and he looks at it. He sees Gary Keller's name and he's like, it's a real estate book. Why would Timmy give me this book? And it sat on his shelf for a long time. And he finally read it and he called me and he's like, dude, that is like such a no-brainer book. And it's a pretty decent airplane read. If you haven't read The One Thing, it's a pretty quick read, relatively enjoyable. And ultimately, the premise of the book is, and we ask this, it's the clarifying question is, what is the one thing that I can do such by doing everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? And for us in real estate, brace yourself, it's lead generation. Right? So the one thing is about staying focused on the one thing, your 20%, your big rocks. And now he's using that in his business and it's been a huge game changer for him. So could you use that with groups that you have now? What are you posting about on your business page? The 20% at least. Make it a value, because you can talk about your real estate wins and still make it about the client and start to express to the people that you haven't worked with yet that you want to earn the trust and the business from, that working with you is not transactional. It is experiential. Right? Maya Angelou, everybody's heard that quote from Maya Angelou. If you haven't, she always says, it's not that people rarely remember the words that we say, they remember how we made them feel. So is when you can't, the Ritz-Carlton, I always forget the name of this book. At some point, I'm going to remember the name of the book. The Ritz-Carlton has a book about their entire process of how they treat their guests. And the line in there that I love is they want to create, excuse me, they want to create irrational loyalty. And irrational loyalty is you would never work with anybody else. Like, honestly, when you go to a hotel, and depending on what you're doing, it depends. Like our family's favorite one when we travel for all of his like club lacrosse games, we just go to the Hampton Inn because they can make their own waffles in the morning. When my boys were growing up, they loved that. And the Hampton Inn's pretty predictable. It's part of the Hilton family, right? But if it was just going to be me and my wife and the boys, I don't know, we sold them on Etsy and we have nothing to do that weekend, are we going to go to the Ritz-Carlton? Sure. When you're leaving the Ritz-Carlton, you're not leaving saying, God, that was expensive. You're leaving saying, when do we come back? That was amazing. The pillows had pillows, right? When you're leaving the Red Roof Inn, you're like, we should probably head to the clinic. I think I got bed bugs, right? Like there's two wildly different experiences. So if you want to create an experience, if you want working with you to be experiential, how do we do that? And the story we're telling in the 20% when we talk about our business online is going to start to foreshadow what they can expect from us. And you can throw in community service. That's wildly important. This is where it gets back to what's your passion. One of the things we do consistently here, if you ever want to do it, you can reach out to her, Catherine Bray and Alice Kabaki, always head over. It's the third Thursday. Me and my team here, myself, Zoe, Allison, and Melissa are going to do it after Red Day next month. I apologize. Second Thursday of every month. A group of us from here go over to Crossroads and you prep and cook and serve the meal. And that's a super cool thing, right? And if you're passionate about doing that and you post that online and people see that you're engaged in the community, not just at Apple Harvest World Festival, but also doing something for a food pantry or for an animal shelter, like whatever you're passionate about. And don't go do it because it looks cool on the internet. Do it because you're passionate about it. So what posts could you guys put online? What have you put online that you've seen that's fruitful? What new ideas have you thought of since we've been talking? Give me a couple of ideas in the room or online. Yeah. Derek just said, just posting a picture from your town and just posing the question, what do you love about York? What I love when we get to summertime, and we're here now, thank God, sort of. It's probably going to snow this weekend. Now that I said it, I just jinxed us. I'm sorry. So the weather's nicer. I think a great question about any town is, hey, we all know about, and pick out a couple of the examples, right? You know, if I'm picking on Meredith for 3 seconds, I'll be like, yes, everybody knows about this ice cream stand in Town Docks. What about Meredith do you love that nobody really talks about? And let people start to share their secrets. It lets them become the market expert. It lets them become the local expert, and people start to share their ideas and just watch that conversation flourish, right? So what else can we post? Unmute, chat away.
Couple of things I've thought of.
Yep.
One thing I have done, you mentioned Jen's birthday. This isn't to go out of the room. She's not listening, right?
Unless, are you talking about Jennifer Vashon?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, she's doing contracts, so she's not watching.
Okay. So I used to be a professional sax player, and my dog howls when I play. So I put a little birthday gig, which is going to go on Facebook for her birthday.
That's hysterical.
All right. The other thing I thought about as far as marketing goes, I live in a very unique place, and what I'm going to do is when I meet people for the first time, I'm going to take them to the private yacht club, which I'm not allowed into apart from members, but that's where I dock my boat from my island.
Mhm.
So I invite them there to have the first meeting where they can see where I live. And if we close, they come to have a meal on the island and stay.
I love that. That's awesome. Great idea. Everybody else is like, well, I don't have an island or a boat, Paul. So
I know.
you're just making me, we all now everybody
and I-
just feels so insufficient. Yes.
And I
Yeah.
don't mean to brag, honest to God, it was a fluky thing. But
Having a boat's not a fluke, but go on by all means. Yeah. Yeah.
no,
I would
it's the
love to
only way
fluke
get
into a
on.
boat. Yes.
It's the only way to get on or off the island. There's no roads here. It's tiny.
I love
Tiny.
that. Yes. I appreciate that. That's hysterical. Come have dinner on my island.
I say if you have it, use it, you know?
Amen.
That's
Yeah.
what
Oh
we're all
no.
doing.
Yeah. I'm
Don't be
picking on Paul
ashamed
because
to
it's
use
fun to pick
it.
on Paul. That's all. He knows that.
So-
He knows I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. No, it's huge. It's huge. And again, creating that experience and doing that, like to your point, that's your one of a kind, 1 in a million closing gift to the people that you work with. The great Ben Kinney out on the West Coast, he's in Washington State. He's the brainchild behind Brivity. If your team uses Brivity, Ben, you've heard Ben Kinney's name. He's one of our great agents at KW, and he has a process where out in Washington, he's got Mariners tickets, Seahawks tickets. They've got everything. Tickets to the Met, and he calls his director of operations, Anne Marie, and I mean, it's just something they do now. But historically, he would just get on the phone and say, "Hey, you know, what's coming up this weekend?" She's like, "Oh, there's a divisional playoff game with the Seahawks," and he's like, "All right." And for something like that, they go into their inner sanctum of their sphere of influence, and they pluck a name from the people that are like wealth determiners for them. You know, you're going to have people in your business eventually that well curated, well cared for over the course of your career. If you can stay in touch with your people and make them feel heard and cared for, you'll have people in your life that may never transact with you, but they'll send you 5 to 6 deals over the course of your career. If I've got a repeat offender, if I got Paul Dunn in my life and in 2022, he sent me 4 deals. Yeah, I'm going to build an island, steal a boat, and I'm going to take him to dinner. I'm going to find a way to make him feel heard and cared for, right? And I think when we start to do that, that's where people are saying, because like he would talk about, you know, he's got 4 tickets and now the Lindsays are going to the Seahawks. I call the Dunns. The 4 of us are walking into the game. And you're like, dude, where did you get these tickets? Oh, from Ben, our realtor. Dude, you bought that house 11 years ago. Yeah, he's pretty awesome. He loves us. You know, and he's taking care of me. So it'll be a no-brainer that I send him my people for the rest of my life. That's great, Paul. I love that idea. What else we got before we move on?
We have this little guy.
Yeah, you rent out Isaiah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Make him do yard work?
We're homeschooling.
Mhm. Yep.
We do have a boat, by the way, which I love. Okay, so he takes over the show wherever we go.
Yes.
Our dog and our team are the things that I wrote down. So family is
Mhm.
huge. It's like number 1 for us.
Sure.
Homeschooling is number 2. But the lake house is like, you know, I love being there. I love everything about it.
Yep.
Probably don't post enough about it, but you know,
Yeah, and you just keep talking about the life that you guys are allowed to live up there, and make sure that it's available and mentally attainable for other people, right?
yeah,
And because honestly, if you know, when Aiden's off to school, and God bless him, but he's not coming back. Like, he's going to go to graduate studies. He and his high school girlfriend are already talking about after studies. They're going to go move to North Carolina, so they're already married in their heads. And our youngest, truth be told, our youngest is autistic and diabetic. Cameron will probably be with us forever. But and my wife, after her parents pass away, she's going to pray that the 3 cats we have now, she's not a cat person, by the way. It's wonderful for the marriage. Thank God for the king size bed. So they are, the 2 of them are in bed with us every night, which my wife detests, but that's fine. Anything in the house that annoys her more than me is a blessing in my mind. We'll talk about that later. So in the grand scheme of things, when the cats are gone and my in-laws have passed on and Aiden's gone and it's just me, her, and Cameron, to Stacy's point, if I could have a cottage that's big enough for my wife, my youngest son, me, and a couple mountain bikes and some golf clubs, yeah, it's pretty small. I don't care. We're not inviting people over. It's for us. And we talk about this all the time. Like, you know, whatever it took for you guys to get your lake house, whatever it's going to take for your next client to get their second home, their vacation home, it's a respite. And it's a place for you to go away and focus on family. And if you can start to tell that story and how you guys got there and make that a whole channel of transactions for you guys, because you're creating that for other people, that'll be huge. So yeah, if you feel like, Stacy, you're probably right. If you feel like you're not talking about it enough, I bet you're right. You're probably not. So celebrate that and find ways to curate that information and put it out there that it's valuable to others and makes it mentally attainable for them to get over that hurdle that we could never have a lake house. Because everybody right now, like, everybody's still thinking like, I don't have a boat and an island, Paul, right? But Paul figured it out. He fluked his way into a boat and an island. So maybe the rest of us can. There's hope for the rest of us. Maybe we'll have you teach that class, Paul. Islands and Boats with Paul Dunn. And he plays the sax. You are the 5th Beatle. I'm convinced. What do we got, Talena? You got something for us before we move on?
Sure. I feel like I'm in a unique situation. I've
Yep.
been a dental hygienist for 10 years, so I have really built up trust with patients in general.
Mhm.
Now I'm reducing my days, and they're like, well, why are you reducing your days? So that's when I offer it. I say, oh, well, I'm a real estate agent now. And so that kind of brings that aspect in that area. But I also am, I coach my daughter's softball team. So I'm very involved in that. And I'm also the vice president of the PTA. I don't talk about it enough and I don't share about it. So that's one thing I will start to do. But I'm already in those actions and those situations.
Yep. And you know, for most people that are attached, if you're in a dual career agent and you're stepping out of another practice, you're stepping out of another professional commitment, for so many of our people, when I'm at the weekend barbecue, if I work at Liberty Mutual and I'm like, I do statistics, I sit in the back room and I cry myself to lunch, and then I cry after lunch, and then I go to my car and cry on the way home, and then I go see my family. Like, if your work is very just tab A slot B, and there's nothing that an external force could do to really drive the revenue for you at Liberty Mutual, I don't care how long you're carrying that role and real estate. When somebody says, how's work? I would not open with, well, yeah, we had 4 cleanings. So when I made fun of dentists, you must have loved that. Yeah, I had 4 cleanings last week. That's not going to be the top of the conversation. The top of the conversation is, I'm glad you asked. I got my license, right? Because they know. But your friends who know that you're a dental hygienist and you work in a dentist office, if they're not already a patient of yours, like, that's not, they're like, yeah, I brush and floss. Cool. But more about real estate. Go ahead. You know, and everybody wants to talk about, that's the blessing of our industry. If you got a friend that sells life insurance, God bless them all. Like, anybody who does life insurance, nobody wants to talk about that. Because for most people, that's a luxury. It's like having a boat or an island. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a luxury, you know, like people like, oh, life insurance. Yeah, it seems untenable, or I hear it's really expensive, but people aren't at the holiday party like, hey, Steve, tell me more about your life insurance business. But everyone on planet America is like, hey, what's up with real estate? I hear it's crazy. I hear this, I hear that. Or we'd love to have a lake house, Stacy. Or I'd love to have an island, Paul. Or we're looking for our first home, Talena, right? Everyone wants to talk about real estate. It's the #1 wealth driver in our country. It's the reason, and I'll say this, and it's true, it's the reason our country stayed afloat during COVID. Because the attach rate to people buying houses and then going to Lowe's to buy all the new switch plate covers that are going to match the new paint, right? And then all the other things. They hired a GC to build a deck. They brought a painter in to repaint rooms. It drove so many other finances for so many other industries. I will blame us financially surviving COVID on real estate. Thank God. Because if you remember, if you guys were listening or paying attention, when COVID hit, the governor of the great state of New Hampshire for 12 seconds said we were non-essential. I freaked out because I'm like, oh God, I'm going to be home with my wife, the kids, and the cat. She's going to kill me, right? I came to the office the whole time because within 10 minutes, Nate and a whole bunch of other big dogs jumped in their cars, drove to the State House, and they were like, hey, Governor Sununu, so that thing you said the other day, we're going to ask you to change your mind. And thank God they said we were essential. And it didn't matter. It changed the way we did showings and all that kind of stuff. But if that was the case, that would have shut down our industry. And we would have been, this is a French term, by the way, to be on the quiz letter, we would have been screwed. Because I think we just drove the financial needle for the rest of all the industries, right? Because when you go out shopping too, and people do this when they grocery shop, you go to Lowe's. What do you do after you go to Lowe's? You go out to eat. Yeah, I just picked out switch plate covers. I'm exhausted. I don't want to go home and cook, right? We were driving the restaurant industry because people were out shopping, you know? So it's fascinating how fortunate we are and how lucky we are that we're in an industry everyone wants a piece of, everyone wants to talk about. So if you're keeping your mouth shut at family parties, when real estate comes up, because you don't want to bother people while they're passing you the potatoes. I say it that way because my grandmother used to say potatoes, right? You're the only real estate professional in the room. And everybody's got a fat Uncle Tony. He watches CNBC. Fat Uncle Tony says real estate's garbage. You're getting screwed, kids. I'll come on the home inspection. Don't let fat Uncle Tony ever come on the home inspection. He ruins all of them. It's the same guy. Everyone has a fat Uncle Tony in their family. You're the expert at the table. Speak up. Speak up. I say this all the time. If one of you, I'll pick on Paul because everybody's annoyed with Paul right now on his boat and his island. If Paul gets a hold of Shirley Lindsay, who's now living alone, my dad died in 2020. Shirley Lindsay, if Paul calls my mom and lists my mother's house, I'm not allowed to be mad at my mom or Paul because I was clearly really bad at being a real estate agent alive in America right now. So when people start to usurp deals away from you because you didn't speak up at your family gathering, you get to take full ownership of that. It's not salesy, it's helpful. Head down, heart up, service first, sales second. And if we're showing up as a human in the gap and real estate's the background music, they'll be that much more endeared to you. Want to connect with people that we know, post about your neighborhood, just like Derek said, like simple question, and keep talking about the zip code you want to dominate. The great Troy Williams talks about this all the time. Like he joked, he's like, if one of my best friends wanted to shop in Kittery, I made them drive and buy me lunch. Troy Williams focused on York. And he has moved into other towns because he added people to his teams that are experts in other towns. But, you know, and I think we get into our heads here at Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains because, well, you could get your Mass license here, your New Hampshire license here, your Maine license here, your Vermont license here. Yes, you could. Why don't we worry about selling your first house in New Hampshire, right? Because there's so many agents like, yeah, I'm going to get my Maine license because I feel like I'm missing out on business. You're not missing business in Maine. You're not doing business in New Hampshire yet. As your coach, I would like you to pay for your class and your licensing in the next state with money you made from the first state. Did you guys hear me when I said that? I got to have 4 licenses so I can do less in more places. That's literally what you're saying to yourself. You're allowed to be in one state and beat the daylights out of one state. Should you choose to get the other 3 licenses that we celebrate at our market center, go for it. I'll support you in that. But if you're putting your class and your dues for the other state on your credit card, swing by my office. I will gladly kick you in the face and we'll have a conversation about what you're doing wrong. Okay? Said with love. Congratulate your new homeowners. Post about listings. Obviously, that's part of our marketing and it's free and engage. Don't go online, start a conversation, start a digital engagement, and then walk away from the conversation. Please don't do that. And this is how I would want you to verbally remember what I'm saying. It does not matter if you have an online presence, if you refuse to be present online. I posted something a week ago because this is the follow up and the follow through. What if you post something and somebody's like, hey, call me, I've got a question, and you let it hang there? And then you see it weeks later and you're like, oh my God, I saw that 3 weeks ago, a month ago, after I posted something, you asked me to call you for a question and I didn't call you. Hey, how can I help? Too late. We're listed and sold. Thanks for ignoring me though. Like, let's not do that. I'd rather have you not go online than go online haphazardly. And we say this all the time and it's so true. Please don't forget this. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. Well, I'm waiting until I have the perfect Facebook page. I want my MySpace to be on point. Half the room is like, what's MySpace? Ask your grandparents, right? Like, it's never going to be perfect. And Nate said this to me the first day I started. He's like, dude, we're making omelets. You're going to break some eggs. Nobody's going to die. It's real estate. There's actually no such thing as a real estate emergency. If your listing burns to the ground, and as long as nobody gets hurt, it's not great. That doesn't happen too often. There's no such thing as a real estate emergency. Think about hyperlocal information. What do you know about your town? What could you ask people about your town to gather more intel and be the local expert? Everyone talked about a zip code of a town they want to be the mayor of. What are the numbers of that town? I don't know. Well, let's find that out. Be the local expert. We have to be the local economist of choice. When somebody asks Paul about Portsmouth, he needs to know X, Y, and Z. And you don't need to know everything. Don't mentally handcuff yourself like, well, I can't go out in the wild because somebody asked me a certain question about Portsmouth. I might not know the answer. We are going to always be the source of the source. The entire staff and all your fellow agents are a text or a phone call away. If you run into a question you can't answer, it's okay. We're going to have the answer for you. Someone here will have an answer for you. We'll be solution-based for you. What I want you guys to change your language. You'll notice I'm heightened about semantics. When somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, I want you to never say, I don't know, I'll find out. If I'm about to do a 6 or 7 figure transaction with you, I never want to hear you say, I don't know. So please don't say, I don't know, I'll find out. What you can say, which is the same thing, but you're politely telling me I'm a genius, is great question, Mr. Lindsay. Let me look into that for you. You said the same thing brilliantly. Your response should never be, please don't say, I don't know, I'll find out. Great question, Mr. Lindsay. Let me look into that for you. Because so many of the questions we're going to hear, what if they ask you a question about lending? I'm not answering that. I'm not answering that. Hey, you know what? That is a great question. Let's check in with Brad. Because the lending rules are always changing, or whoever your lender of choice is. Right? We're the source of the source. We are the connective tissue between them and the experts in our industry that we're in relationship with. Client testimonials. When you have your first transaction, raise your paw if you've had your first transaction. Anybody in the building had their first transaction yet? It's coming. It's going to be great. There's money on the other side of it. Amen. When that happens, and you've been asking for it the whole time, and I'm going to hopefully have you guys thinking about this consistently. The best time to get people on your side is during the transaction, right? So as soon as you're getting like the day of the closing table, don't call them 3 weeks later. Call them the next day or within a couple of days, or even that day as you're leaving the closing. Hey, it was such a pleasure working with you guys. Absolutely enjoyed getting to know you and the family. In the next couple of days, the team is going to send you a couple of links. We'd be honored if you guys could give us, don't ask for anything less. And I'm annoyed there's not 6 stars. There should be 6 stars, 7 maybe. We'd be honored if you give us a 5-star review. And when they do that, I would say, number one, have it on Google, right? And I know a lot of people have invested financially and have a lot of skin in the game over at our friends at Billo. Let's not forget, Billo is now a broker in our state, and they can shut the switch off at any time. I know they're still taking people's money. I know they're still sending you leads. They are a broker in the state of New Hampshire. That's why I don't use the Z. I call them Billo, because otherwise everything I'm saying right now would be a breach of ethics, and I don't want to do that. I like my job. But your reviews on Billo that say you're a top-notch agent are on another broker's website. Think about that. If you thought to yourself, God, I hope my reviews look really good on the RE/MAX website. Well, why would you care? You're a Keller agent. Well, I'm worried about my reviews on the Billo website. They're a broker in our state. Let's have an honest conversation. They could tomorrow shut the switch off. Well, no, they can't, Tim. I sent them a check for the next 6 months. They're going to send you your money back. I want to be in control of the narrative about my business. So your 5-star review should be on Google, because Google SEO is king and queen of the universe. So when they write a testimonial, when they write a reference, when they do anything for you, you're always asking for 5 stars. If somebody who talks a lot, like your friend Tim Lindsay, if they happen to write a 17-paragraph review about Paul and his flowing hair and his boat, his island, and his wonderful British accent, I would then get permission, and I would do this, and this could seem a bit extra, but I would do this just to get permission. I'm going to call Paul, be like, Paul, I just finished reading your review. We're so honored that you would take the time to put together such a wonderful review of our team and our services. There's so much here. I wanted to get your permission over the course of time to extrapolate sections of paragraphs and just keep our website fresh. Is that okay? I basically just said, you write really well. You're a wonderful person. Do I have permission to post your content incessantly because you're a genius? But when you look at a really good website for an agent, all of the reviews they have on there look like movie reviews. And I would just want to take sections and paragraphs and sentences that Paul said and keep all of my content fresh. And I would get that permission. So if he does go post something on Google, I would want to make sure I have access to the content that I could chop up and use at my whim. Okay. So think about that. We're never asking for anything less than a 5-star review. We talked about this. Don't post and ghost. Highlight your business, but highlight you as the curator of a lifestyle in the zip code in which you choose to dominate. Online communities, right? And I would say start one. I wouldn't say go join one. And this is where it's going to feel a little dicey, but stay with me on this one. If I'm going to start a book club, if I'm going to start, we've got some great agents here actually, and I'm sure you guys will meet them at some point. Peter Metch and the great Sean Cody have an investment group that they do, and it's them. And they work with our hard money lender. His name is Brian Joyce, and they work with obviously our great in-house lender, Bradley Kelly. And the 4 of them do an investment thing at a restaurant on the Seacoast once a month. And it's for humans to come to. It's for civilians to come to. They're not going to be like, yeah, Talini, you should definitely swing by and steal our clients. That would be great. So you're allowed to put up a fence around your event when you want to be the dog in the fight, you know. So you just you want to push this out to civilians, because from a tactic standpoint, you want to be the star on the drink. So when these people that are coming to this event, mountain biking, cooking, whatever it is, investing, when they become transactional, you're the only choice in the room. I'm not creating a space for other people to come and step on my relationships. And that's just smart. So I would never open up anything. If you're going to create your group, people are coming because they mountain bike, not because they mountain bike and they're also a realtor that's looking to steal fish out of your bucket. Nope. No, thank you. At some point today, even Paul is going to post on Facebook. I'm so excited for him. So post something today. And again, it doesn't need to be, it's on your business page, awesome. And if it's on your business page, I'm going to invite you to post something about community, about lifestyle. It's not about business. Talk about why you love where you live. Our job is to get more people who want to live and love where you are. Not just look at pictures and like them. Be authentic, biggest word. That last year for me at Family Reunion, authentic kept jumping off the stage. That was the word I heard last year so much. And I mean, I guess 2 years ago now. This past year, it was opportunity. It was that one statement. Just because there's a perception of less opportunity does not make our opportunity less. I don't care. And the math is true. I'm not saying that it's not. There are less people right now willing to list their home. So you could argue there's less cheese in the maze right now. You're still more talented than most of the other mice. Go steal the cheese. I don't care if there's less pie available in the marketplace right now. Go steal the pie. We've been saying this at our company for years. Go get your unfair share. Because when it comes to getting the listings and getting the business and building a legacy for your loved ones at home, I'm not worried about you hurting other people's feelings. 5 people are going to go to a kitchen table. You're going to be the best one at the kitchen table. Get there first, have the best value proposition, and steal the cheese, right? And it's about our lack of conversations and information to the general public right now. That's why we don't have the listings we require. And that is a huge opportunity for us. More semantics that I get crazy about. If I hear one more person say there's no inventory, I'm going to start just drop kicking people. And I'm only 5'9", so I might need a step stool for that. But I'm going to tell you, if I hear more people say there's no inventory, every house on your street is inventory. Just because it's not listed doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We are at a lack of active listings. We have to drag the inventory that's available to the end of the driveway and throw a price tag on it. And that's a whole nother conversation, but stop saying there's no inventory. Because when we say that in the wild, the humans latch onto that. Oh, it must not be a good time to sell. We invented the word seasonality, by the way, which is like 2 buckets of stupid with a side of fries. Like we gave that to the civilians and they run with it. Like, oh, it's November 1st. Nobody's going to sell now for 6 months. Well, let's all go to Kohl's then at this point. Like, what are we doing? We just told everyone in America seasonality exists. If you look at our metrics, we sell so much property, especially where Sindel wants to play, up around the big puddle. You know how many people sell their houses in the 4th quarter? Because you know what happened at Thanksgiving, pick a term. At Thanksgiving, families told their kids, your father and I are selling the lake house. This is going to be the last summer. Because none of you can afford it. And we need the money to go to South Carolina and play golf and eat Krispy Kreme and die. So we're selling the lake house to go where the palm trees are. It was great. Derek Kelly's officially insulted. Yeah, so those conversations took place in November. And there's going to be for sale signs at the end of docks in September. And then people pull their docks out of the water in October. And then we transact those properties. Our 4th quarter, we sell a lot of 2nd, 3rd, and 9th homes. Stop using the word seasonality in the wild. We invented that word. We gave it to the humans, and now they're using it against us. Stop saying it out loud. Don't be a jack of all trades. Embrace video. If I hear one more agent say, I'm going to start video, Tim. Yeah, Barbara, you said that in 1978, right? Like, it's so user-friendly right now. And I would say, if you aren't there yet, get onto YouTube, start using shorts. The number one reason people aren't using YouTube as we look at it is long form video. If that's handcuffing you, start using shorts. That is their short form video. That's going to drive more SEO to the same place because Google and YouTube are under the same roof. Not owned by Zuckerberg yet. God help us. I'm sure he's coming for it. Hopefully not, because he'll screw that up too. I mean, he's an alien, right? Can we just say that? Can we have this quick conversation? Have you seen his face? Pasty white. And I say I'm Dunder Mifflin white. I get that. But like he's an alien. Yeah. Anyway, if I start using YouTube shorts, I start getting into YouTube, that's going under the roof of Google, where all of my reviews are, my SEO across the entire ecosystem is going to grow. So if you're going to do video, number one reason people don't do video, you know what, Tim, I don't like the way I look or sound. Guess what? That's how you look and sound every day to all the humans. Now, there's one augmentation there. Your inner ear hears you differently than your outer ear. When you speak, me speaking right now, I know I technically sound different to you right now than I sound to me because I'm listening from inside my head, which is full of horror stories, right? That only my therapist gets to hear. But anyway, I know I sound differently to me inside my head than you hear me, but I've also listened to me on video because I'm on camera every day at this company. I have to get over the fact that my face looks like a used catcher's mitt, and I have to get over the fact that my voice sounds a certain way, and I have to just hit record and put the content out there, because if I didn't do that, you'd be like, well, I hear there's a coach. He's in the corner in Portsmouth, but I've never seen him before. I'm of no benefit to you. 90,000% since COVID hit, about 40% of my online one-on-ones or I should say 40% of my one-on-ones before COVID were online because of the size of our footprint. During COVID, we were 1,000% digital. If you go to meet with coach, it still says Zoom. But what a lot of people will do is say, hey, they'll text me and say, hey, I booked with you for Thursday at 2:30. I'm going to be in Portsmouth. Are you, I'll knock on your door. Yeah, 1,000%. We're good. There was some points where people were like, can we be in the same room? Sure. I have a chair at 6 feet away. We can both wear a beekeeper's helmet. That's fine. Because people still did that. I'd love to be in the room with you. I'm a high I, and we were connected digitally. But what I learned during COVID is I thrive off a heartbeat in proximity. And if you want to be in the same room and you're booking with me, by all means, come into Portsmouth. If you're not doing video because you don't like the way you look and sound, then you should just stay home. Because the next person you see in the hallway has to deal with your face and your voice. And you're all good-looking people. So just hit record. What's that? I'm so nice. I'm so nice. Yes. Tell Nate to keep me around. Use analytics, right? Is the other huge thing, right? From a marketing standpoint, and it doesn't, like, I've got a whole bunch, the kids in the room right now can see that I have an inordinate amount of equipment on my desk because I'm a dork and I bought a ton of stuff during COVID and I do podcasts. So I have a ton of stuff. You guys don't need all that. Everybody has a $4,000 phone that you're going to lie to your CPA in April. Oh, we just missed it. I'm sorry. That was yesterday. Oh, I blocked that out. Yeah. Tax day was yesterday. You probably told your tax person, oh, my phone, it's a write-off. It's a business expense, but you've never used it for business. You're using it for Tinder and Candy Crush. What if you used it to record yourself and throw a video on the internet? Everybody has a 4K camera in their hand. You don't need a ton of equipment. And when we go online, I've got analytics immediately. Who watched it? How long did they watch? If it's a 2-minute video, and if you're going to do shorts, keep them 60 or less, right? You can be effective in 60 seconds. Did they watch all 60 seconds? You go deep on Google Analytics, they'll be like, yep, they clicked it. They saw your face that looks like a ketchup mitt and they exited. Or you're not that bad looking and your content's pretty good. They watched 53 of your 60 seconds. Cool. How many people did that? Was there a value asked? Did you give them a call to action? Did they click the next button? We have all that data with Google Analytics. We should be using it. This reviews everything, the 10, the 5, and the 1. You guys know what you need to do. 10 hearts or likes, 5 comments and 5 words or more, 1 share, 1 post. Here we are again. Every day in Ignite, are you having 10 conversations? Are you aspiring to have 10 conversations? Gary would say we should be doubling down. So Ignite, we go from 10 conversations to 20. And Bold, we go from 20 conversations to 40. If yesterday's number was 0, as your coach said with love, I'm going to ask you to make it 2 today. Can you talk to 2 people? Honest conversation, that's still not enough. National average is 20 conversations. We know it's about 19 no's to a yes. And we have to be okay with that. You're not going to call 20 people like, hey, do you want to buy, sell, or invest today? And they'll be like, yeah, thank God you called. Just came up over breakfast. People are transactional every 5 to 7 years. I'm not actually calling Talena today to see if she wants to buy, sell, or invest, finding out from Talena who she knows that I should know. And it's going to come up when we start talking. I ask her about the dentist office. You know, like, you know what? Ted, the guy I work with, jackass. I'm looking for a new job. Or I talk to my friend Stacy, who works at Liberty Mutual. She hates Liberty Mutual. Whatever it is, then they're eventually going to ask me, because most people with warm blood in their veins are going to reciprocate and be like, hey, how's real estate? Super glad you asked. Just talking to my coach today, just talking to my team today, just talking to one of my fellow agents today. And you know what? I'm looking for 38 more families to help this year. Who do you know that I should know? Who do you know that we can help? Not who do you know, Talena, that would like to buy, sell, or invest? I am willing to create a terrible experience for them and then take their money and never talk to them again. Nope. No, thank you. But who do you know that I should know? Who do you know that we can serve? Ask that question. And we talk about this all the time. I know I've been beating this drum so much. For most humans, it is tab A, slot B. If you guys owned a restaurant, your friends would know to go in, order food, chew food, pay for food, over tip, leave, rave, come back and do it again. People know the inner workings of a restaurant. How do I make my friend feel heard and cared for if they own a restaurant? I do these things. With real estate, they don't know. So we need to tell them. They know what we do. I know you do real estate, Tim. Cool. Do you know how I do real estate? No, I just assume you go there and they just hand you leads and money. Nope. Actually, no. I cry myself to sleep every night thinking that I have to get up in the morning, get back on the phone and make phone calls. But when you really think about what we get to do, we get to talk to the people that we know and love and trust and find out who they know and love and trust. Are we willing to do that tenaciously enough? He's got a koozie on that. Is that a beer or a soda? I'm just checking. Top looks like a Sam Adams. I'm very concerned. I was proud of you for a second. It's a Pepsi. What a letdown. What a letdown. Yep. Book a meeting with me 4:30 on Friday. There's truly in the fridge. I didn't say that out loud. I might have said that out loud. Anyway, sorry. As long as you're 21 or 18 in Canada, doesn't matter. Yep. I love that. All right, brother. See you soon. Connor Henderson's exiting. So don't overthink that, right? We just have to have the conversations. We get permission from those people to put them into our database. And then what I would historically do is if I talk to you today, I'm going to do the handwritten note tonight, drop it in the mail tomorrow. Hey, Talena, it was great connecting with you this week. I appreciate the conversation. Again, if you think of anybody that you know that we can help, by all means, we'd love to serve your friends. And you asked about business cards. I threw a couple in here with the note. I'll talk to you soon. I'm always going to infer the next contact. I'm going to tell her that I'll be calling her again soon. And it's going to be about her because I'm going to see that she got a new dog. I'm going to see that she just went to Mexico. I'm going to talk about her. Everybody's favorite topic is them. Everyone's favorite radio station, WIFM. What's in it for me? If I call her every time and it's about me and my in-laws and my 3 cats and the fact that my wife hates the 3 cats and probably me too, like she'd be like, I don't want to take these calls anymore. Like if I call and I'm terrible, my mom's going to stop taking the calls, right? But if I call and it's all about Stacy and Isaiah and their dog and their lake house, yeah, cool. Tim's calling. I get to talk about me again. Awesome. Tim is curious about me and my life. And when I'm transactional, it'll be a no-brainer to work with him because he created irrational loyalty for me and my family. We have to talk about this. If you squint at the bottom of the slide, it is $43,000 per violation. It is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. We use the do not call.gov, do not call list, right? Do not call.gov. That's where you go and get permission to get the names that are on that list. How do you avoid that? Here's the cheat code. Call people that you know and love and trust. But Tim, what if my Aunt Julie is actually on the do not call list? She's never going to pull the trigger on the do not call list. Aunt Julie is happy to get a call from you. The do not call list for Aunt Julie is to keep people trying to sell her steak knives or a vacuum cleaner or political calls. It's not for you. If you are going to call people that you don't know, if you're calling unmet, if you're calling expireds or FSBOs, you need to make sure they're on the do not call list. You might get somebody who says, hey, I'm on the do not call list. Hey, I apologize, Mr. Barrows. I'll make an update to my notes. I hope you have a great day. I'm getting right off the phone. It's very rare that somebody would say that. You would gracefully exit the call and then they're going to call the government and say, fine that kid $43K. I'm not saying it doesn't happen though. When it does happen, it's usually when somebody's using a dialer. They call them dialer machines, right? You can get a dialer through most aggregators. I'm not telling you not to use dialers, and dialers will tell you we've already checked all the numbers for do not call list. Well, they're saying that, and they're not standing behind you with their checkbook either. I would double check all the numbers that I'm going to call. The best way to do that is pick up and talk to the people that are already in your phone. I engage in every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and the people are happy to be in relationship with me. You're not bothering the people that you're going to call when you offer them value. And I'm not calling people and the first thing out of my mouth is, hey, do you want to buy, sell, or invest? I'm going to call and talk to Paul about saxophone playing, about his boat, what he's doing this weekend. It's eventually going to come up. We go through the Ford conversation, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. When it gets to occupation and they ask you about real estate, you ask them for the opportunity to serve them and the people in their life. It's that simple. Our friends want to help us. If you owned a restaurant, they would come there to eat. Remind them that you require their help to do what you do, and they will do it. Everyone wants to be part of our story. Let them in. Friday, 9 o'clock, we're going to talk about capturing more leads. I bet we're going to talk about lead generation again. So brace yourself. There won't be any math. There usually isn't any math. Any questions before we escape? I'm going to get you out for contracts. Questions, comments, concerns? This class will be uploaded to, if you guys have any questions about anything in our ecosystem, Zoe and Brittany did a great job. You go to kwclmhub.com. Everything's there. You need the licensing number for our York office. It's there. You want to know Nate's favorite color? We're working on that. I think it's blue. It's probably, he's a company guy. He'd say red, but I'm pretty sure it's blue. If you need me, it's 603-834-2856. If you need to book my face. And I'm not saying this to step on toes. If you're currently in the midst of your conversations with the great Zoe Kirkpatrick, you're going to finish those conversations. Then you sort of graduate to my desk. I don't know if that's the right word. Then you're forced over to my desk and you're in relationship with both of us. But if you're currently talking to Zoe and working through those calls and those conversations, stay on that path. When she sends you to me, now that we've met, hopefully you're willing to engage. And when that time comes, it is meetwithcoach.com. Whatever you guys need, don't ever hesitate to reach out. That's why I gave you the number. I'll give it to you again, 603-834-2856. Head over to Keller TV. New Hampshire Contracts is right now. If you're not in there, we're writing down names of people that aren't there, and we're going to come to your house and punch you in the neck. I say that with love. It's because we care. It's equal opportunity violence. All right, kids, take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.